For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Tom, what is your favorite movie scene that involves food?
Wow. Okay, my first thought is Tommy Boy chicken wings, when he has to sell Helen on getting the chicken wings going. It's my favorite childhood movie.
I'll have chicken wings.
Kitchen's closed until dinner. Just got cold stuff and desserts.
Boy, some chicken wings would really hit the spot. You sure it's closed?
Let me check. Yep, it's closed.
Okay. I'll just have a sugar packet or two. Hey, what's your name?
Helen.
That's nice. You look like a Helen. Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman. Let's say I go into some guy's office. Let's say he's even remotely interested in buying something. Well, then I get all excited. I'm like, Jojo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet. The pet is my possible sale. Oh, my pretty little pet. I love you. So I stroke it, and I pet it, and I massage it. Yeah, I love it. I love my little naughty pet. You're naughty. And then I take my naughty pet, and I go... Oh! I killed it! I killed my sale! That's when I blow it. That's when people like us have got to forge ahead, Helen. Am I right?
God, you're sick. Tell you what, I'll go turn the fryers back on and throw some wings in for you.
Hey, thanks, Helen. Tummy likey. Tummy want wingy.
That's where my brain goes first, but it's going right now. Goodfellas.
Unquestionably.
When Joe Pesci brings home his comrades after they kill the dude, and then he goes home to his mother at 3 a.m.
Why don't you get yourself a nice girl?
I get a nice one almost every night, Ma.
Yeah, but get yourself a girl so you could settle down. That's what I mean.
settle down almost every night, but then in the morning I'm free. I love you. I want to be with you. I'll just settle down.
It's just an amazing scene, which is only topped by the fact that Martin Scorsese's mother is Joe Pesci's mother's in this scene. And it's just the best. It is so good. So I'm going to go with Goodfellas, 3 a.m. coming home from Mama's cooking.
One dog goes one way, the other dog goes the other way. You were correct in movie, but the wrong scene. It is when they prepared dinner in prison.
In prison, dinner was always a big thing. We had a pasta course, and then we had a meat or a fish. Paulie did the prep work. He was doing a year for contempt, and he had this wonderful system for doing the garlic. He used a razor, and he used to slice it so thin that it used to liquefy in the pan with just a little oil. It's a very good system. Vinny was in charge of the tomato sauce.
Ah, got the smell. Got three kinds of meat in the meatballs.
What'd you put in it?
Veal, beef, and pork.
Ah, good, but you gotta have the pork.
Oh, that's the flavor.
I felt he used too many onions, but it was still a very good sauce.
Vinny, don't put too many onions in the sauce.
I didn't put too much onions, Paul. 3 small onions, that's all I did.
3 onions? How many cans of tomatoes you put in there?
I put 2 cans, 2 big cans.
You don't need 3.
When Paul Sorvino, is slicing the garlic so thin that it liquefies in the pan.
With the razor blade, Kevin, yes.
With
Every
the
time
razor
I
blade.
slice garlic, I think of that scene. I have to jump in on this one because back in the day, my mom purchased a dual deck VCR, which is where you have 2 different tape slots, and you can watch a movie on one slot and you can record it on the other. And she launched into this whole series of her own little movie mixtapes. And one of them was Best Scenes with Food, where she would pick all of her favorite scenes with food in a movie and put them together into a little mixtape. And my favorite from that, and I'm going to take it all the way to a whole food movie, is Big Night with Stanley Tucci and Tony Shalhoub as 2 brothers opening a restaurant, and it is a feast for the eyes.
Maze, that was my honorable mention as I sent to you.
Wow.
When that other chef comes and they make that casserole spaghetti or whatever it is, and he stands up and he says, "This was so fucking good, I might have to kill you." This is Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, we're down to 9, just on the heels of Restaurant Week, but we had 1 week to go before that. Interesting episode. We have a little Nigerian cooking. We have some cross-promotional Jurassic film franchise cooking. We have some blood and guts and gore and a very sadistic Tom Colicchio who just isn't going to be satisfied until, I don't know, somebody is maimed or killed on the set. But Tom, what are we learning? There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, I think Buddha and Jackson are separating themselves from the field. I mean, Evelyn also had a very strong dish, but I really feel strongly that our 2 juggernauts in this competition are Jackson, your team captain at this point. Maybe not at the start, but certainly Buddha is coming in strong. Just wowed the chefs in quick fire. And then if he wasn't in the bottom team, I think he could have walked away with the victory. We'll talk about that later, the weird judges table winning team dynamic and the scoring of that, Kevin. But let's start with the quick fire. We have Nigerian food. Kevin, I am not an expert in Nigerian food, but as someone who has been to Africa and a big fan of West African cuisine, you're worlds ahead of me on this culinary section of the world. So talk to me about Nigerian food and this quickfire.
I'm really excited. For one, I do love West African cuisine. Number 2, I'm making my first trip to Nigeria this summer. I'm going to Lagos for 4 days. So this was fantastic to get a little primer on Nigerian cuisine. The Swallows is actually a really great place to start because so much of West African cuisine, I've been only to Ghana. So I have not been to Nigeria, but it is a couple of doors down. Is about kind of that starch base, that thing that you have in your one hand that you dip into the stews and sauces that define the cuisine. So in Ghana, for instance, in much of West Africa, fufu, which is the kind of the cassava-based like lump that is, but it's
who
moistened.
doesn't like dipping the bready starch into a dip or a sauce? I mean, that's got to be one of the great dopamine hits of being a human being, is that moment right there.
No, it's totally wonderful, and it's why West African cuisine is so much fun, because you have these like rich and sauces that just get soaked into this thing which is not too flavorful. I mean, if you just took a hunk of fufu in West Africa, that's more like eba in this particular challenge, amalia, Ian, like, you know, you'd say, oh, this isn't very good. But no, it's not about the swallow itself. It's how the swallows, or the alchemy between swallow and stew.
It's a vehicle.
It's a vehicle. It is. Instead of bread, though, it is the starch. It's often made out of, in some places, rice, some places maize. In this case, like cassava and yam is a big one in West Africa. And so they get to kind of try, hey, what is this thing all about? And they bring out egusi, which is a great West African dish. There's a wonderful place in Los Angeles right now called Mama D's African Cuisine, not far from my house. It's over in Boyle Heights. I think they're in the process of they were one of those great COVID pop-ups that are now going to try to, I think, go even bigger. But they had egusi. And egusi is a kind of bean and melon soup. And I'm not even really describing it correctly. Sometimes they throw in a meat of your choice, but that was the thing that everyone gathered around and said, hey, try this, the cheftestants, and kind of to give an idea of how stew kind of interacts with starch. And I will confess that I don't, one of the things that's above me is knowing which stew interacts best with which starch. Like I couldn't tell you, well, that's a good Eba stew. Not so much with the amala. I mean, like I'm that's well above my pay grade. But it was really fun to kind of watch this thing and got me very excited for my trip to Lagos this summer, which is one part music visit, but kind of secondarily a food visit.
Yeah, we got to see Kwame again. Always good to see him, and he's someone that is trying to draw more attention to Nigerian food and African food in America, which is always great. I wanted to talk about that slime from the okra sauce that was in there. That was probably one of the least appetizing things I've seen on Top Chef history. That slime was disgusting. That, of course, Tom Colicchio would absolutely love and devour, of course. But instead of Last Chance Kitchen, where they try to take out the okra slime, this was like a supersized version of slime, which almost seemed like it should have been like in a Halloween dish or something like that. But I'm sure it was delicious. I've never seen something so slimy, and it was like the least appetizing thing I've seen in a while. But anyway, I was curious to see how Ashley would do because she, as she says, she spent her gap year in East Africa. And we found out that Jackson still can't taste food. So the whole journey with Jackson, I was kind of thinking he'd pick up his sense of smell and taste at some point. But we learn here he still doesn't have that, which is just amazing. I can't get over that fact. So there are three teams. We got Ian, we had Buddha, Jackson, and Luke. And then Eba, we had Nick, Ashley, and Damar. For the Amala, we had Evelyn, Joe, and Jay. They quickly flew through these reviews to the point where they didn't even give a review to Joe and Jay's dish. They just tasted it and then they moved on to finish the quick fire. So we just like blazed through this quick fire. But what dish really stood out to you? Obviously, Nick, it was too sweet with the tamarind paste, and then Evelyn, just too much going on, too convoluted, they said. But the dish that stood out for you was what?
And the dish that won was Buddha's, and I think they were really appreciative of kind of the peanut inclusion. It is kind of a prominent taste in so many of those stews, and it seemed like it was very much appreciated. You know, Ashley had an interesting choice. She went sukuma wiki, which is more of a kind of a East African collard greens that you'd see closer to the Horn of Africa, and then she added shrimp to that. Looked really good. Again, as you said, Jackson, the man has no taste buds and yet kind of perfectly illustrated. Like that orange sauce just invites a swallow, right? Like you just want to soak that up, that orange sauce that he did with his snapper. So he was on the top three. Damar did not screw around, got right into the Scotch bonnet stew, worked with suya pepper, which is this like bright orange powder pepper that you see a little too hot for my constitution, but clearly much appreciated by the judges. And the two kind of bottom mentioners mentioned as the bottom, Evelyn and Nick, both had one thing in common. They both used tamarind, and both of them were a little too sweet. So it wasn't a coincidence that those were the two that got dinged a little bit. Neither looked bad, although it was kind of weird to see those like big ass crab claws hanging out of the bowl. Like you can't really get the full take the swallow and pinch it into between your thumb and forefingers and dip in when there's like a frigging crab claw sitting there. So just functionally, it was kind of a weird one.
One of my biggest pet peeves when I'm out to dinner is when the chefs don't take out the shrimp tail out of the dish, and then you got to get all messy in there. And
you and Eric, yeah.
Why are we still doing the shrimp tail? Just take it out, please. It's one little thing that we need to do right before they plate. And it's no big ask here to like remove the claws from that dip. Like, what is that adding to it? So all of my seafood with the shell on in a dish, that's just my biggest rant, my pet peeve.
It was fun, and it got me very, very stoked. And I even sort of went down the Legos restaurant and food and street food rabbit hole, after watching this episode yesterday. So was very, very excited about that. Jackson Buddha Damar, again, we're kind of seeing a little bit of, now you have Jackson and Buddha sort of separating themselves. I feel like it's sort of 1A and 1B, Jackson, Buddha, with Damar and Evelyn kind of in that tier. Yep. And then to me, like sort of the bottom, which is Joe, Jay, Ashley, and Luke, and then sort of Nick in that 500 club, kind of, he's playing 500 ball. It seems like that sort of is how the divisions are sort of sorting out to me, but I don't think we're too far apart on that. But it basically gets us to the progressive Jurassic dinner.
Okay, chefs, we're almost halfway through the competition. If you want to win, you're going to have to dominate.
Jurassic Park?
Hi.
Oh my God.
Please help me welcome Top Chef Colorado winner Joe Flamm.
I know who Chef Joe Flamm is, but he's unrecognizable to me in his getup.
This is definitely going to be a fun one if you can't tell by the way I'm dressed.
We teased this in the last episode, Kevin, at the very end. The most devoted listeners who's hung around to the very last moments might have heard that we would have a special guest on this episode of Pack Your Knives. And I am delighted to bring in Season 15 Colorado Last Chance Kitchen champ and Top Chef champion, Joe Flamm.
How we doing?
Has entered the building.
How are we doing?
What's going on, Joe?
What is happening, guys? I got to tell you, it was funny. Some lady came in the other night. People come in and they still comment on the show all the time. But she came up to me and she goes, "You should have won." And I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like, do I correct her? And I'm like, it was like, I think she had a few drinks. But it was one of those things. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I agree.
You introduced the contestants this week, the cheftestants, to the Jurassic World. You had a fantastic get-up on. So can you kind of just give us some backdrop here to, Top Chef reached out to you and said, hey, we want you on the show, and you are a big Jurassic Park fan, or you just kind of, it was the right timing for the right episode? Like, what was your introduction to this season Houston of Top Chef?
So let me tell you something. When, first of all, they asked me back to judge, I was thrilled. I've always, being on the other side of the table is way better, right? So I was so excited, but, in typical Top Chef fashion, they tell you nothing. They're like, here's 3 days, show up in Houston. Here's, 3 days before, somebody from wardrobe is like, hey, bring, a suit, bring this color shoes, this color shoes. I'm like, okay, cool. Nothing. They tell me nothing else. So I show up. They're like, hey, you're doing like a Jurassic Park thing. And I was like, dope, awesome. I love Jurassic Park. I'm a big fan of the movies. I've seen them. I love it. I saw the first one, and there used to be a drive-in down here. We saw it in a drive-in. And it was like awesome, that whole car scene, you know what I mean? Where they're like chasing the Jeep.
Yeah.
We're like sitting in this dark drive-in and like this old like Chevy Astro van, like, so that was really cool. But then they're like, yeah, we like got this outfit for you. And I'm like, what? But I'm always game for anything. So I was like, yeah, sure. Give me a cowboy hat and a fucking neckerchief and let's go. So that was, it was really funny. But so, they were like, I would have judged any episode. I don't care. So I was very excited to be back there doing it, no matter what the circumstances.
I wonder what happens if you showed up and say, well, actually, I don't believe in dinosaurs.
Right.
They didn't walk.
Right.
Like, just didn't exist.
Right. I'm not doing this episode unless we also talk about Jesus being around with these dinosaurs right now. If I like kept bringing that up the whole time, you know what I mean? If they were just like, Pat would have just been like, oh, okay, Joe, like, stop it.
We got this, the cross promotion with Jurassic Park. I myself, I watched Jurassic Park when I was a kid. I've probably watched snippets on planes of the rest of the franchise, but a lot of creativity with the Top Chef. The prompt of Top Chef. Every time that you do do a challenge, you got to come with a little story here. So you're at the judges table, and you know it's Jurassic Park themed. You know you got to dress up in a suit, and I don't know how you feel about suits, but I'm sure it was very fancy setting with surrounded by all these bones and stuff. Were you excited to do the judges table from a story aspect? We had this last episode where a lot of story going into sometimes it was kind of a reach, but were you more interested in the food or the creativity of the chefs?
I think I was, number one, the food, and just, being on the other side of it. I think you have a totally different perspective. Now, there was one point, and me and Tom were like, we were going back and forth, and he was like, oh, this was me. I would have brought up, a whole alligator head out here, and I would have done this, blah, blah, blah. And I just looked on the table at him, and I go, no, you fucking wouldn't have. I go, you're going to be the guy who gets sent home for bringing out a whole alligator head? I was like, if you had brought out a whole alligator head, you would have been like, well, what are you bringing out the whole alligator head for? It should have been a nice composed dish, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, there's no way you would do that. I'm like, you have no idea what it feels like back there. I'm like, you just wouldn't. And Tom was like laughing, and, he was like, okay, maybe you're right. But but so it was interesting being on that side of it, hearing their perspective of it. But it was also like, I was, them getting called up to judges table, like my heart rate was like going crazy, just like being back there.
Is it nice that you can you're now at the point where rather than having to be deferential, that you can just say to Tom, and just like, you old coot, like, what the hell are you talking about? That must be one of the great moments when you can actually kind of just have the adult conversation with dad,
right? After
all those years,
right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that first beer around the fire with dad when you're like, hey, I know, like when you and Uncle Kevin went for walks at Thanksgiving, you guys were smoking weed, right? You know what I mean? Like that kind of conversations with with Tom, where it's like, and so that's like really cool, and Tom's great, you know what I mean? And he is awesome. And so it's like really fun to sit on that side of it with Gal and with Padma. I mean, it was incredible. And Kwabe's there too. And so that was really fun.
So this is an interesting question. Like, between courses, we all know that like production takes forever, that what a viewer is seeing as a 47-minute episode is actually like a freaking day and a half.
Right.
Like, between courses, like, what is being spoken of at the Top Chef table?
So, like they do when they're serving, that happens pretty quick, right? So it's like they're on that, they're moving at a pace. So there's a little bit of chit chat, but it's mostly, that was, so what I was talking about at the table, and I don't know if anybody else was. So this was also, so we're in Houston. This is not to go back to the White Sox, but it's Sox Astros playoffs last year, right? So this was, I think we were filming, this was game 2. And so it was a night game. So it like lined up perfectly with the dinner. So it was like going into the 7th, and it was like a close game. So every time in between things, I'm like, somebody give me a score. Somebody give me a score. Can somebody get in my ear and give me a score here? So that's what I was talking about. I don't think anyone at the rest of the table really cared about that. But that's what I was trying to get after in between courses.
So when we're talking about this episode, Kevin and I couldn't really figure out exactly how the teams worked out, but you were the one at the central part of it, is you had these folders, and then you gave the folders out, and they would see the actual teams breakdown. They were assigned to certain teams randomly. But you have no idea who any of these chefs are. Like, you meet these chefs, right?
No clue.
You don't know anybody. So you're not actually doing a scouting report and like, oh, I'm excited for this team or that team. Did you know any of the contestants?
They don't tell you anything going in. And, I knew a friend of mine had made it on the show. And so, but I didn't know if he was still on. So I walked into that kitchen, and then I saw, Damar's a Southside guy too.
That's right.
And he works for a really good friend of mine, Eric Williams. And so I saw Damar, and I was like pumped, because I was like, oh shit, you're still here. Like, this is awesome. But I didn't know that before I walked in there. But it's also, the interesting thing has been, is being a judge now. So then I've like gone back, and now when I'm watching the episodes, there's all these people I never met. Right. And so, and now I'm seeing the backstory where it's like, they don't tell you anything. They don't give you like, hey, just to catch you up, like this is, this happened, this person's cooking well, this person isn't cooking well. They walk you into that kitchen, they give you a sheet, they're like, these are the faces, these are the names. That's it.
Yeah, you're going in totally blind.
Because that's one of the things I think people don't understand is like, you do the show and they're like, oh, well, you're hanging out or you're talking to the judges. And it's like, no, you don't. Like they are super, super serious about keeping contestants away from judges so that you don't form any opinion outside of them other than interactions that you see on TV. There's no other interactions with judges. They're never like, hey, after a long shoot, Tom comes by, we crack a couple brewskis, and he's like, ooh, hell of a challenge today, boys. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not on camera, to the point of like, if Tom walked into a room and we were all standing in there, they would walk us out of the room.
Wow. The integrity of this show is amazing.
It's wild. It's really, really wild. And it's, and they were so intense about it, but it makes sense because they're like, they don't want them to have any opinions about me, about, anyone. And Tom told me later, he's like, I used to try to like find out about the chefs. He's like, but as the seasons went on, he's like, I figured it was just better to know nothing about it. And just, they show up, everybody's the same day one, and just let them cook. And he's like, and then you find them out through the season. But it's like, so the chefs get to know, or the judges get to know you because you see them, they see you a lot, but you don't really get to know them that well till after. So it's a weird kind of thing. Like people, I think, assume there's some more social aspect to it with these judges, but it's like, no, we're slamming, 15 episodes of filming into 2 months and you're going almost every day. And if you're not filming, you're doing interviews and, they're doing what they're doing. And so it's like, it's crazy. But so they kind of set you up in the same way as those judges are set up when you come in to judge. So they're like, here's who everyone is. They don't really give you a background on them at all. They're just like, this is this person, this is this person. And, I like ask some questions and they're like, oh yeah, that kid, I'm like, oh, where did he cook that he cooks like this? Like, oh yeah, that guy worked at Noma. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like everything has
seaweed.
Like everything has kombu and horseradish in it. And you know what I mean? Like this dude's trying to like forge fucking sea beans on the shores of fucking Galveston.
Oh, did you know that Jackson didn't have taste buds or had lost his sense of taste?
No clue. I just was like, why is this guy wearing fucking shorts?
Can I ask you a question though? All right, so I mean, I think to what extent, in what situation should adult men leave the house with shorts or not shorts is sort of an interesting question, and I can go a bunch of different ways on it. But everything I know about kitchens is you guys are always schwitzing to the edge of death, like it's 140 degrees, and yet I have heard this comment from other professional chefs where they look askance at another chef wearing shorts, and I'm like, yeah, why the hell not though? I mean, you're like, I don't want ass water all day when I'm running around a kitchen.
Let me tell you what's worse than that. Next time you're in your kitchen, heat your oven up to about 500 degrees, then take that oven door and then walk backwards into it with shorts on. Tell me how your calves feel.
Enough said.
And also, it's just, on a tight line, if somebody spills something, I'd rather, you know what I mean? If you're going to pour boiling hot water down my leg, I'd rather have a pair of pants over before you hit my shins.
So it's a protective thing.
Yeah.
This is why we bring you on the show,
Yeah.
Joe. I now that curiosity has been sated. I'm good.
And I've seen it done, but I never do it. I never do it just because I've gotten those burns before. And the people I see have done it, I'm like, maybe they've always rolled the dice and it's come up good for them, but it's not a game I'm willing to play.
Quetzalcoatlus.
Is it Quetzalcoatlus? I thought it was a Quetzalcoatlus. It was a Quetzalcoatlus.
How many takes did you need to get that out?
It took me a few, and I figured it out. Quetzalcoatlus. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to look at it again, but I can't remember.
Yeah, we got the Mosasaurus, the sea dinosaur that eats sharks for breakfast. And then we got the Quetzalcoatlus. That's the air one. That's the one that flies around.
Yeah, it's like a giant pterodactyl.
And then we got the Velociraptor, a classic.
Classic Velociraptor. Can't do Jurassic Park without the Velociraptors.
Can you tell me about the spotted hyena? Because you said it bites as fierce as a spotted hyena. Like, I didn't know that was the most fiercest bite in the animal kingdom is the spotted hyena.
I don't know that it is the most fierce bite, but it's a bite I wouldn't want to get. I would imagine. And that was not like a line I wrote, obviously. What's up? You want to say hi?
What's up, little man? Is he into dinosaurs?
Yeah. Do you like dinosaurs? Can you get a dinosaur? Can we get him a dinosaur to show him? Yeah. So it'll be funny to see, I'll show him the episode and see what he has to say about it. Is he like kind of, sees me on TV sometimes and like kind of gets it and thinks it's like the first time I showed him one of my Top Chef episodes, he was like, he was just like started laughing, and he was like, two dads. And I was like, this is gonna be really confusing for people at school.
Yeah. So let's get into these dishes, Kevin. We got the first courses coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to hear about Buddha's dish, this smoked alligator. Were those dumplings? I mean, what tell me about that dish. And is as interesting as it was, it was so unique. I don't yet still have a feel for what was in the bowl.
What's funny is like sometimes these dishes, and I think it's hard when you're not trying them. You're like, oh, this sounds so out there. But I tried that dish, and it's like it was kind of a really classic dish, weirdly enough. As wild as it sounds, like smoked alligator. Alligator is basically sturgeon, right? So it was like sturgeon and beets, which is super, super classic. You know, you smoke both of them. So it was very this kind of like Baltic feel to it. Reminded me of a dish I had years before that I absolutely loved that a chef in Chicago made. So it was like as much as it was out there, you know, you could tell by the dish that like Buddha isn't just, you know what I mean, like a flashy fine dining guy. That it's like he reads, he understands, and he knows the backbones of this. And that dish is good because he understood all the dishes that need to go into making that dish. And it wasn't just like, he was like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? I know how to use an ISI canister, or I know how to use this, so I'm just doing it. You could tell you're like, oh, this is all the technique is really good. All the seasoning's really good. You know what I mean? The smoke, you know, I think one of those things is like smoke is one of the hardest things to do well. And I think it's one of the biggest things that even if you go to a great fine dining restaurant where you have, you know, 14 pristine courses, they'll do something smoked, it'll be terrible because they've never worked with real smoke. They've never worked with wood fire. They've never done any barbecue. And so they smoke something and it just tastes like, you know, you're like licking a mesquite chip. And so it's, you know, like with his, it was like there was a little bit of smoke to it and it was done well. To me, I was like, oh man, that is like, you know, you actually know how to cook. You're not just a fine dining guy. But it's like you got backbones behind you.
I was thinking at Spiaggia when I ate there at your former restaurant in Chicago. Now you're at Rosemary, and Kevin has given a beautiful flowery review of Rosemary, and I am I'm insulted by myself that I haven't been there yet. But maybe the Bulls make a run here in the playoffs, and I do some traveling here. I remember at Spiaggia, maybe. Did you have like an ashy, like a bread with ash almost, or something?
Yeah. We had a Roman style Cato bread with ash.
Yes. So it was smoky. It was a little smoky there. So it was a great dish, but you get a little nervous when you do a smoky dish, or you know you nailed that one.
Well, yeah. So Buddha's dish was obviously, that was one of those ones where it was like, this is a really special dish. This was really well done. You just tell he was a technique guy.
Yeah, I want to talk real quick about immunity here because when you're Buddha, he got immunity. I don't know if you knew that before you sat down and ate his food, but there's two directions you can go, right?
They told us at one point, and I can't remember when, like maybe we were doing the walkthrough. I think we talked to him about immunity. I can't remember. I have to go back and look. But I think we might have brought it up, or maybe it might not even got caught on film.
My question is, if you have immunity, there's two directions you can go. The philosophy is I can go big and risky and try to do something I might not have done if I didn't have the safety net, or I just kind of DNP rest, take the day off, load management, and I'm going to just mail it in here. But Buddha did not mail it in.
No, he did not mail it in. He went really hard on it, which I think you can do. I think it's different when you're on a team one because you got to go hard for the team. Luke is bringing over more dinosaurs he wants you guys to see. But you know, so I think for the team ones, you have to go really hard. I mean, if it's an individual one, then yeah, load management, I'm going right for the middle on that. Unless there's cash involved, I'm going right for the middle on that. You know what I mean? I'm having a couple pops the night before that elimination challenge. And it's like, I'm just, you know what I mean, doing it up, getting in other people's heads, having fun. One more dinosaur. But it's hard, you know what I mean? As much as I say that, though, it's hard to turn it off. You know what I mean? When you're in competition mode, you're just going and you see everybody else going and you're like, I'm not going to be outdone. So, and I think, you know, he's a very competitive guy. And so I think he was just like, well, why not swing for the fences? You know what I mean? It's 3-0. Am I taking or am I going?
Let me ask you a question because we've talked a little bit about competitiveness of the show. If on a 100-point scale, Bulls Pistons of that era was like 100 and like participation trophies and it's all fun for everyone is 0. Like, where is the show right now? Do you feel like it's becoming more or less competitive? It's like the one critique I have of the show I otherwise love, and we've talked about it a lot, and I don't want to dwell too much on it, but I did because you've been in it and you just mentioned it.
Right.
Like, do you feel like the show it felt like there was more at stake in the older days, and maybe because you were on the show, you'd win, or you'd go back to your life, and now you can kind of still maintain a social media presence. I'm just wondering your kind of theory of the level of competitiveness right now, kind of in a Top Chef kitchen.
You know what? I would compare it to the NBA a lot, because I think the talent level keeps getting higher and higher. You know what I mean? They're attracting better and better people. When I think like when like Steph did it in like Chicago back then, there was like 10 really, really good chefs and 5 people they had like got, right? They're like, oh, one guy's like a bartender, one guy's, you know what I mean? Like
Izard you're talking about here.
Yeah. Stephanie, like the early seasons, there was always a couple like random throw-ins, right? Where it's like they were also cooking under different circumstances. But I think the competitiveness there, it was like people, there wasn't as much social media, right? So people were more like, they would say crazy things to each other. You know what I mean? You would get after people in the kitchen. I felt like our season still had that. People were still getting hot with each other. You know what I mean? Like, there's people from my season who still beef hard, who still like, no, we don't talk. We don't go in the same room. We're not in the same place at the same time.
Wow. Joe Sasto, you really don't talk to him? That's amazing.
Yeah, right. I wish. No, 3 times a day. But as much as I'm like, I might think that's silly, it's like I also get it and kind of respect it, of like, like this is like, no, like this is on site forever. And I think though that like part of it is like, and this is like always my beef with the All-Star seasons, is because everyone's been there before, they're so polished that they're never going to step out of line. You know what I mean? Like Melissa King's not just going to fly off the handle and be like, yo, Brian Voltaggio, like, you know what I mean? Like, but you're like, you'd love it if she would, but like, that's never going to happen because they all have like merch behind them and they're ready to go. And they're, you know what I mean? Like they have products that are going to launch and coincide with episodes. Like it's so polished that, I think over the years you have seen a little loss of that. But I think the other weird thing, and I think, part of like this season that I don't feel like they really talked about or it's realized, is like the weird part of this one is like they're all still staying in like hotels. So you don't have that house. And like the house is part of like that competitive, and it's like, because it's like, yeah, you might talk some smack on camera, but I can tell you what everybody's talking smack. It's like, 6 or 7 drinks deep at the house, and it's like, oh yeah, I saw your dish today. It looked like hot garbage. Cool. Like the cameras are gone, and it's like nobody might catch that. But I'm gonna tell you what, that next day, like that rolls over to the kitchen, and you're like, I want to send that person home. Like, you know what I mean? Like I want to, like, and it was like when we were in Last Chance Kitchen, like, you know what I mean? Like me and brother, like, so we were both kicked off, and he was like, we were going at it. We were like, yo, he's like, he's like, you're not beating me. I'm coming for you. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. And so it was really competitive between us. And he was like, and we went back and forth and we're like real, like hot at each other, like talking mad smack. And then I beat him. And he was like, but he was like real hot about it. But he's like, I swear. He's like, if you don't win it all, he's like, I'm going to call your kitchen every day. I'm going to call your kitchen every day. And I'm going to say, put the chef on the phone. He's like, I'm going to say F you and I'm going to hang up on you. He's like, every day. He's like, so you better win it all. He's like, because I was going to go back and win it all. And I was like, all right, chill, big dog. But so that was, like we got after each other. But I think that's part of them being separated. It makes it hard for that competitiveness a little bit. And I think people are just more careful, especially because of like what the hospitality industry is right now, that people are afraid to, fire it off a little bit.
Interesting.
What's up?
How has trade win?
Hello, listener. It's producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago. And I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
Yeah, we can watch Trains when Grandpa's here.
Excellent. We all will.
But I see what you're saying, though. You know what I mean? You miss the nitty gritty of it. You miss the timeout break where, Larry Bird punches someone in the face and then they come back and, you know what I mean? Somebody's wiping blood out of their mouth.
Give me a little scout on some of the dishes here. I mean, obviously, we get a very small snippet. You tasted 9 dishes. We talked about Buddhas. What was another stealth good dish?
Okay, so I'm trying to go through in my head. Damar's dish was really good. I remember it was the fried oyster.
Joe, let me just read off the dishes to refresh your memory here. So we had from Team Brown, we had the dessert from Jackson that to me looked a lot like the Wilson from Castaway.
Yep.
We had the Evelyn with pork. Nick did the crab croquette. Luke did the braised beef. Seaweed, of course. Damar did the oyster with the fried oyster with chow chow. Ashley did the chicken wing. Buddha did the smoked alligator. Joe did the quail. And Jay did the lamb stir fry. The lamb duo, sorry.
Yeah. So, and it was like a weird one because those top 3 dishes were all really, really good. Like Buddha's was the best dish for sure. It wasn't. Yes! There wasn't much. There wasn't much of an argument about that. But Damar's dish was really, really objectively good. Like, you know what I mean? If you ate in a restaurant, you're like, dang, this is, you'd be happy and you probably would have ordered 6 more.
Kwame said it was the best chow chow he's ever had.
It was really good. And I think, that cake was delicious. Like, it was a gooey chocolate cake. It was kind of like, I felt like I was, team gooey cake and I was getting some grief for it. But I was like, this is good. Like, this is just delicious. And it's like, sometimes it's like, if it's just delicious, it's like, just shut up and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like chocolate lava cake. Michelle Braun mentioned it. Like, you know what I mean? It has a lineage here, so it's like, and then, it was kind of surprising to me, the bottom 3. And I thought, Ashley was surprising because she was talking about that chicken wing. She's like, I'm going to give you the best chicken wing ever. Was she in the bottom or was she in the middle? I think she was bottom.
It was an odd episode in the sense that they didn't name a winner. Because it was team oriented, whether those were the 3 best dishes, they were sort of heralded as such, at least to the viewer, Jackson, Evelyn, and Nick. Ashley and Luke were sort of quasi bottom, but it was Joe and Jay, Joe for the barbecue stuffed quail and carrots and Jay for the lamb 2 ways that were kind of regarded.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to remember it all. Yeah. Because we were all like doing, and that's what we went back and forth on a while because we were like, Ashley, like Buddha kind of saved them. You know what I mean? And it was like Buddha saved them because his dish was so good. And so was the team challenge. So I think it was because the team on the bottom was who?
So the team on the bottom was Buddha, Joe, and Jay. So Buddha, even though he was in the bottom team, Padma was like, look, you got immunity, but even if you didn't have immunity, it was a fantastic dish. You would have been fine, even if you didn't have immunity.
Okay, so who was on Ashley's team?
Luke and Damar.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, so she got saved by Damar is what happened. Because her dish, because we were kind of like, what was it, the bottom, the worst 3 dishes, and that should have been a bottom dish.
That's what I had on my scorecard too, Kevin, by the way. I had Ashley, Joe, and Jay.
So it would have been, if she would have been at the bottom, it would have been, you know what I mean? And it could have been, and I was kind of surprised now going back and watching Joe cook of the dish she put up. And I just don't know if she didn't just get the challenge or if she had troubles that day or what it was. But it was just like, you felt like she forgot something. You're like, did you miss something on this dish, Joe? Like, it was just like one of those weird ones where it was like, you couldn't wrap your head around it. Like, what were you trying to get to with this, right?
Quail with the glazed carrots that didn't glaze and it wasn't cooked properly.
There was no glaze on anything. There was no sauce on anything. There was nothing that tied everything together. It was just stuff on a plate. What's up? What? Okay. Thank you. There's just nothing that brought together. Jay's dish also, that thing was kind of a mess. But it had some, at least it had some more flavor to it that was redeeming. But I think that somebody was on Team Chicken Wing, though. I forget who it was. Maybe it was Kwame, where he was trying to like make a case for it, like not being a crispy chicken wing and that being good. And it's like, I don't know, man. But, Luke's dish, I thought, was kind of, you know what I mean, could have been more tender and had some things going on. But nobody else took issue with that, which that was interesting to me, too. I thought Tom was going to, Tom literally wrote a book on braising. So I thought Tom was going to kill him for that one. But he didn't. I mean, the flavors were good on it. It was cool. It looked pretty. So it was interesting. But, yeah, it was one of those things where Joe's dish just, I think, had the most flaws.
Evelyn's been a really interesting contestant because she's kind of lingering up at the top. She doesn't have like huge beaming confidence, but I've really, I would say I like her food. Of course, I've never tasted it, but conceptually and in terms of prep and in terms of kind of design, I've really liked it. She did that pork tenderloin with a pecan crumb, Swiss chard, and the aerated sweet potato puree. Any good?
That was good. It was a very, very solid dish. You know what I mean? Okay. There was absolutely nothing wrong with it, but there was nothing about it that was like, wow. I did not understand for the life of me why they all decided to do pecans, why they were like, oh, this is like a showcase of like, we're all like, I was like, somebody make this make sense to me. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like joking. I was like, should we just put them on the bottom because they did this just wacky like pecan thing? And it like,
was it on like the pamphlet or something? Did they eat pecans? Like, do dinosaurs like?
Yeah, yes. I forget how they tied it at. I think they said like where those dinosaurs would have been, there would have been pecans or something. But it was a stretch.
I'm from Georgia. I like pecans.
I think that was like the dinosaur was from Georgia too. So it's like, there you go. Yeah, like this dinosaur. Show them that dinosaur right there.
So 2 things here. One, Luke, every dish this season, without fail, has had seaweed in it.
Right.
Joe, would this drive you crazy is if you were Tom or Padma or Gail, that they just would have one element on every single dish like seaweed? I mean, of course he does, right? From Noma.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. And what they actually do there, which is true, is that it is not accumulative. So every day is a new day. So it doesn't matter that you did it every time. Is this dish better than the other dishes in the field? You know what I mean? It's like playing someone who has a really annoying game where it's like, really, you're just going to shoot that stupid shot you shoot the whole time, but it's like you can't stop it. And so it's like, it might drive you crazy, but if it wins, it wins.
So it's all independent events. It's a roulette board. Like you should, just because they're 4 reds doesn't mean you bet red. It's hot, right? So I get that. The second thing I want to ask you about is the lamb duo. It is a cardinal sin on Top Chef is to do a duo, because if you have a good idea, you just do that idea. You don't bring another one and sandbag that great idea.
No, I know. I always say it. It's like you know what it's like. My season, David Tufu, man, we were driving up to the mountains. He said, I'm going to do rabbit 3 ways. I was like, dude, you're cooking over a campfire in the mountains. Like, maybe just do it one way well. This is the second he said, I'm doing rabbit 3 ways. I was like, this is your last day on the mountain, buddy. And it was. And it always is. It always is. And I think people just, it's hard not to get in your head. It's hard not to overthink it, right? You know what I mean? You have no one to talk to. You can't like shoot a text to like your sous chef and be like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? You know what I mean? You can't run it by someone. It's like you have to make a decision so instantly, so quickly, and so like, just matter of fact and roll with it. What?
I want some water.
All right, I'll get you a water. Here.
You have some espresso.
Yeah, have an espresso, kid. It's really easy to get caught of like, you have this idea, it's going to be great, something, and then it's like you're there, you like look at the plate, you're like, what was I thinking?
Kevin, I'm guessing you had some thoughts on Jay's lamb 2 ways and just poorly cooked and just so much going on there.
Buddha had this sound bite in the episode.
I think she's doing a lot. She's stir-frying noodles, she's breadcrumbing lamb chops, meatballs. Yeah, it seems like a lot.
And then I think that with the pickled napa cabbage, it's really good.
It almost sounds like a buffet platter.
There was stir-fried noodles, there was pickled cabbage, lamb 2 ways. None of this stuff was sort of incorporated. What's so interesting about Jay is there are moments where like it is the most beautifully, I don't say beautifully crafted, I mean just conceptually, it's just this wonderfully unified combination of Cajun and Korean, and it just all kind of it all makes sense. And then there are times where it is truly like it looks like a Seder plate.
It's one of those things, and I think, going back to kind of what Kevin was saying earlier about the competition, I was telling my sous chefs this, is like, at some point you have to step up and you say, I want the wheel, I'm taking control, and I'm taking charge. I'm always the person, if nobody's going to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab the wheel. And it was just the frustrating part about watching that with that team was like, who stepped up and said, I'm going to be chef today? Because in my mind, nobody did. And that was my biggest gripe with it, is that like somebody should have stood up, looked at her dish, and looked at those, Buddha should. This was my one beef with Buddha on that one, is, what I mean? You step up and you look at both of your partner's dishes and you see that and you don't say anything. You just let them send it. Like either one, you don't care. And you're like, I have immunity. They could, sail on this river alone. Or, you know what I mean? You're not comfortable stepping in there and saying something. But either way, that was my one like thing I didn't like from him in that episode, is that if that's my teammates, like we're all in this together, I'm gonna be like, yo, you got to tie that dish together. Throw a sauce on. Like, Joe throws a sauce on, just simple glaze on that carrot, ties it to that quail. She doesn't go home.
It also feels like this is one of those team challenge, an individual challenge disguised as a team challenge, but it's kind of an individual challenge. Like, those team challenges where you're both going home, right? It's you're in teams and it's double elimination. Or this always felt a little bit like more of an individual challenge kind of masquerading as a team challenge.
It's like baseball.
And they all kind of are, you know what I mean? But like, it's one of those things where it's like, and I think a lot of people don't like the team challenges, and I like it because it's like, you know what I mean? I'm a restaurant chef. I'm used to having a team. I like being part of the team. I think that's where I excel more than as an individual. But I think a lot of people don't like doing them, and so it's like, they don't know how to work with other people, or they're used to, either, they've been in charge for too long, or they've been alone for too long, and they're not used to that, kind of like hearing and going back and forth, and how to tell people like, hey, you know what, like, that's not going to work. And like trying to get through to them that you need to, like, this is going to be an issue for all of us.
Yeah, I kind of go back to my original thesis, though. I think the reason people don't like them is they invite confrontation and friction.
Right.
Is nobody wants to, well, if I confront this chef over their crappy choice, then I'm going to be seen on TV being the bossy one, or overly critical, or not critical enough, or whatever it is. And I think that, to me, is the team challenge. I like them as a viewer just because, I do like them like you do, because I think it approximates a restaurant kitchen. But number two, I also like it because it does invite a little, how much more interesting is the episode if Buddha says to Jay what he said to us off camera,
right?
Or not off camera, but right. Like, hey, Jay, bubble. Like, this is going to end poorly.
There's a very revealing moment there, Kevin and Joe, where after Joe presents her dish to the judges.
You know what? A big quail. It's actually called a Jurassic quail.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say that. So too late now.
Well, too late now, asshole. And she's like, well, I couldn't tell him that. It would have been nice to know that before I went up there. And it was such a revealing moment that Buddha just totally bailed on the whole coaching part of being the guy with immunity on that team. He didn't bother telling Joe, hey, it'd be a nice little note, a little detail to tell the judges that it's a Jurassic quail.
Joe, what was it stuffed with, the quail? She said it was barbecue stuffed quail.
It was a weird mixture. It was like some grain mixture. And the idea was like, oh, this is what would be like what it eats. But it's like, the problem with that is sometimes when you get those wild birds, it's like you get them with like stuff still inside them that they actually did eat. And so it's like, it's kind of like one of those things where you're like, I get where you're going here, but this is like not the direction.
My scorecard, Kevin, was top three. I had Buddha, Jackson, and Evelyn on my top three if it was no team whatsoever. Hey, Avery. How are you?
Oh, that's interesting. I had it Buddha, Jackson, and DeMar.
Yeah, I had it Buddha, Jackson, DeMar.
Yeah, so Buddha, Jackson, DeMar in the top three if it was an individual challenge, or at least if they didn't just give all the points to Team Brown. But on the bottom, we had Joe, Jay, and then Ashley. And I'm just sitting here, and I think it was going to be Joe or Jay. Were you surprised at Joe going home?
No, I mean, I think Kwame said it well. And again, didn't taste the food, but the wing didn't work. She ran out of glaze on the carrot, and the romesco didn't have any particular redeeming quality. So there were 3 components on the dish, none of which worked. Protein was dry. Sauce was flavorless. Carrots were sad, I think in the words of Padma. So it didn't surprise me at all. I mean, Joe actually ate the food, but it just seemed to me that if there was one redeeming quality of Jay, she was cooking with a little flavor, and that saved her to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think it's just she wanted on flavor, but it was, we went back and forth on it for a while. It was kind of a coin flip one. And I think there was an argument to be made for Jay, but there were some things on her dish that were delicious. Whereas Joe's, it just, never tied together. There's just never that, it just felt like she hit that challenge. And it happens. Like, it just happens. You hit the wrong challenge at the wrong time and you're just jammed, right? You're like, I don't have a good idea for this one. I'm trying to make 3 or 4 things work. You know what I mean? I'm trying to just put delicious things together on a plate. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. And that's what it felt like, is she, just kind of ran out of gas on that challenge, couldn't put it together. And it was like, that's what it ate like. It was just like, man, this is just, you're like, okay, you can kind of see where it was going, but it never got anywhere.
In your opinion, it was Buddha who won or Jackson on that challenge?
Yeah, I thought Buddha had the best dish of the challenge overall. And then, I think Damar and Jackson had really, really strong ones as well.
Okay. I want to let you out of here on this question here. Kevin, if you had something else. I wanted to know, what is your favorite movie scene involving food?
My favorite movie scene involving food. It's like an awesome scene where it's like, it's in The Godfather. And James Caan goes to answer the phone and he's wearing a wife beater and suspenders. And he rips a chunk off the loaf of bread and he dips it into the sauce before he picks up the phone. He's chewing on the bread. He's like, hello? Hello?
Yes. I had the Goodfellas dinner in prison scene.
The dinner in prison scene's top 3 for sure.
Tom had the 1 a.m. going to pick up the knife at Joe Pesci's mom's house.
Oh, yeah.
The late dinner. And I also had as my honorable mention, Big Night. What is that dish? That sort of baked spaghetti, starts with a T?
Timpano.
The Timpano dish with a rival chef.
That was up there for me too.
I also thought about Tommy Boy chicken wings with Helen at the diner.
Yeah.
Also a classic.
I also like 5 Easy Pieces, Jack Nicholson.
I'd like a plain omelet, no potatoes on the plate, a cup of coffee, and a side order of wheat toast.
I'm sorry, we don't have any side orders of toast. I'll give you a English muffin or a coffee roll.
What do you mean you don't make side orders of toast? You make sandwiches, don't you?
Would you like to talk to the manager? Hey, Mac.
Shut up. You've got bread and a toaster of some kind?
I don't make the rules.
Okay, I'll make it as easy for you as I can. I'd like an omelet, plain, and a chicken salad sandwich on wheat toast. No mayonnaise, no butter, no lettuce, and a cup of coffee.
Number 2, chicken salad sand. All the butter, the lettuce, the mayonnaise, and a cup of coffee. Anything else?
Yeah, now all you have to do is hold the chicken, bring me the toast, give me a check for the chicken salad sandwich, and you haven't broken any rules.
You want me to hold the chicken, huh?
I want you to hold it between your knees.
I think one of the best monologues is the Blues Brothers scene with Jake and Elwood when they walk into the diner with Aretha Franklin and they're ordering.
Help you, boys?
You got any white bread?
Yes.
I'll have some toasted white bread, please.
You want butter or jam on that toast, honey?
No, ma'am. Dry. Got any fried chicken?
Best damn chicken in the state.
Bring me 4 fried chickens and a Coke.
You want chicken wings or chicken legs?
4 fried chickens and a Coke. And some dry white toast, please.
You were such a Chicago man. You were such a Chicago man.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, Tom.
Where does the Big Kahuna hamburger scene from Pulp Fiction rank? Like,
oh, that's a good one too.
That's got to be up there, pretty high on the list.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Flamm, belated and another thank you for probably my favorite meal of the year this year. Back in early March or was it late February? I forget. At Rosemary. the porcini andalati, the cacao e pepe, the tuna tartare, the duck breast, everything was so beautiful. Your hospitality, everything. I can't wait to come back. I just don't know that it'll be this postseason, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be the postseason for it, unfortunately, guys. If we didn't run into the Bucks in the first round, I'd feel better about everything in the world. But I don't see us sneaking past Giannis anytime this year.
Any other things you want to tell the people about that you got on your plate besides your restaurant in Chicago? And congrats again on that.
Thank you. No, Rosemary's going great. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up in about 6 days here, which is really exciting. So I have actually a couple alumni, Sasto, Carrie, Adrian, and Tyler are all coming in to cook for it, along with some buddies of mine from Detroit are coming down. So it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Three Bears. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thanks so much, Joe, for coming on. It was great to see your kids.
Great to see you guys, and look forward to maybe talking to you later in the season.
This is a tasty burger. Vincent, you ever had a Big Kahuna burger? Want a bite? They're real tasty.
Ain't hungry.
Well, if you like burgers, give them a try sometime. Me? I can't usually get them because my girlfriend's a vegetarian, which pretty much makes me a vegetarian, but I do love the taste of a good burger. You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in France?
No.
Tell him, Vincent.
Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese. You know why they call it that?
Because of the metric system?
Check out the big brain on bread. You're a smart motherfucker, that's right. The metric system. Send this.
Sprite.
Sprite, good. You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Tom, Joe Flamm makes an appearance in Pack Your Knives. So exciting. Love getting always get how it really, like the trash talking that's going on when they're 6 drinks in. You get kind of the real texture of the show with Joe.
Yeah, and I didn't really realize it until you mentioned it. We haven't really seen many like back at the house scenes that we usually get in Top Chef, which kind of makes it more real world, road rules feeling, like reality show, get a little bit more color of the relationships. Maybe that's playing into this too. That was a great observation from Joe. Love the BTS behind the scenes stuff that he's given with Tom Colicchio and talking to his dad, having a first beer with his dad moments there on the show. I want to talk about the scoring on this episode. Even though you're running away with this thing, just philosophically, how do you think we should play this? Because like it feels wrong to have Buddha with 0 points because he was in the bottom 3 team, even though he could have won this challenge.
Buddha won. I mean, and I know he's on your team. I want the scoring to reflect what actually happened. And what actually happened is Buddha apparently created a dish better than anybody else's. So Buddha wins the week, as far as I'm concerned. And the fact that he happened to be paired with number 8 and number 9, I mean, you could argue, well, as Joe did, that he was a poor teammate because he didn't correct this awful cooking by his teammates. But I mean, Buddha won the week. I don't even think it's close. Now, I don't know how to do the other top. I mean, I don't know if like Jackson, Nick, I mean, there was something cohesive. That team won. And so I don't know how to score it in the sense that, look, I mean, they did win and it was coherent, right? You saw Jackson, the 3 of them kind of get together. We saw the footage of thoughtful conversations about what we're doing here as a team, how it's going to progress. Everyone's using a pecan, as idiotic as that might have been. It was a thing. Like they all clearly were on the same page. It was very clear. So I don't know how we don't reward them in some form or fashion, but I don't know how to do it.
I put them top 3. Gave Nick 5 points, Evelyn 5 points, and Jackson 5 points, which continues Jackson's just torrid streak with another top 3 finish here in the competition. He's been fantastic, and I keep forgetting to do a full season tally of the points for each contestant, but right now we have Jackson at 37, Evelyn at 35, and Buddha at 35 as well. Buddha's got 2 W's, and Evelyn has 2 W's as well.
Now, if you wanted to go completely kind of Talmudic and get really complicated, you could actually give Buddha the points for winning the week and a deduct points for being on the bottom for the bottom team, but I don't think that's necessary. But you could argue that, look, that was the bottom team, and Joe was the loser, and those three chefs were on the bottom as a team. And then also hand Buddha, this would be an ad hoc decision, obviously. Like we have no basis or precedent for this, but you could argue that if they were truly the bottom team, he participated in not telling Jay or whatever. But I don't find that necessary. But he won the week, and there's no question that he was the best chef at that competition.
Tell you what, let's go to the commissioner. I'm saying Buddha, traditionally, we would have Buddha with 0 points because he was in the bottom three. However, there's two options we can go. Give him 5 points because, hey, he could have been a better coach. So maybe we give him 5 points instead of the full 10 because Joe Flamm said he won this challenge. So I'm wondering, Commissioner, your take. Should he get 10, 5, or 0?
I always say no, actually, it's 2 if you're in the middle, right?
Yes.
And it's 0 if you're on the bottom. So I would say give him the full winner amount and then deduct 2, which is the difference between, in other words, 2 is really the penalty, right? Am I making any sense here whatsoever?
Look, you've said it all. You've all said it. You've covered it. Joe Flamm said he was the winner. Are any of us going to disagree with Joe Flamm? No.
Hell no.
That's not happening. So Joe Flamm crowned him the champ. So we got that in the bag. That's 10 points.
Okay. 10 points. Okay.
As Kevin just pointed out, bottom 3 is 0. It's not -2. Where is this -2 coming from?
Right.
He was saddled with a bad team. That sucks.
I guess what Kevin's argument is, the baseline is 2 points just for showing up, basically. And so the penalty of -2 is coming from if you're in the bottom, you get the -2. But you know what?
I'm cool with however you guys. I think Buddha won the week. He's not my contestant. The guy won the week, and it should be reflected in his score.
I also think, Tom deserves some pity points at this point.
Charity.
Yeah, okay.
Some charity.
He's getting blown out. He's in danger of losing via the mercy rule of Little League Top Chef. So I think you give Tom those 2 points, and I don't think it's going to come back to bite you, Kevin.
Tom, what do you see in closing here? On the eve of Restaurant Wars, by the way, very exciting. And I know we have some LCK business to talk about as well, but just kind of want to get your sense. I mean, I think you see it sort of as Jackson and Buddha. I would say also up there, though, DeMar and Evelyn are cooking well. And then I see clearly sort of with Joe gone now, kind of Luke, Ashley, and to some extent, Jay's a little more variance, has a little more variance as a chef. And then Nick kind of in the great middle by himself.
I see 4 tiers. Okay, 4 tiers. Tier 1, Buddha and Jackson. Tier 2, DeMar and Evelyn. Tier 3, I got Jay and Nick. Tier 4, Ashley and Luke.
Right.
That's how I see it. Is if we could break them into 4 parts, that's how I see it. There's 8 people left. Restaurant Wars is here. It looks as pyrotechnic as we've seen in a long time. We're going to have 2 restaurants here. And they're going to actually serve the diners. So that's going to be exciting. Jurassic Park episode, it worked on some levels. It was kind of contrived on others. And we won't belabor that point here. We get it. It's part of the universe there. And I thought that the alligator was kind of crazy to see him just pull out an alligator out of a plastic bag like a carcass. And I'm with Joe on the whole Tom Colicchio thing. Like, yeah, maybe it would have been better if you put the alligator head, but I did find it very Tom Colicchio, who just felt like he wanted a murder scene on a plate.
Yeah, some odd sadism on Top Chef. I've been told that we are prone to be giving away LCK spoilers. So I want to be careful here. Is this where we announce that we're going to quickly just kind of review? If you have not watched Last Chance Kitchen, if you do not want to know, this is where you would fast forward to the end of the episode or just come back next week. But we're, Tom, you want to kind of fill us in? I watched, I thought it was a pretty impressive LCK performance by the 2 competitors.
Yeah, Last Chance Kitchen here. Again, we're doing last week's Last Chance Kitchen. We are not going to talk about Joe's performance on Last Chance Kitchen. We'll do that next episode. But basically, they had to do a broth dish. And I think there should be a highlight reel of Tom Colicchio's dad jokes. This one was, I'm going to take stock of you both. And then there was awkward laughter from Monique and Sarah. Sarah used like a breakfast ramen, but then ditched the ramen because she didn't want to do the Italian noodles in there from the box. And I totally agree with that decision. I cringed when I saw her like dumping the pasta into the pot, and I was like, oh, Tom's gonna hate that. With some togarashi. Monique, she does the salmon with some stock, a seafood broth or a shrimp broth as well. Really, really difficult challenge because they have 30 minutes to create a really tasty, cohesive broth, Kevin. I don't know how you do that outside of a pressure cooker. We saw it twice in this week. We had Luke messing around with a pressure cooker and being very nervous. And of course, with Last Chance Kitchen, we see Sarah doing a pressure cooker. And I got to hand it to the judge or to the editing team here. I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster with the pressure cooker because it always is on Top Chef, always. But Sarah is pleasantly surprised that it's very tasty. And we end up seeing, spoiler alert, Sarah moving on in the competition, which means we have to say goodbye to Monique. We hardly knew you. And it was, I had high expectations for Monique because of her bakery background, and she was on my team. But you know what? A poached salmon in a broth is just not going to do it. And Tom goes with Sarah on this one.
Yeah, Sarah's cooking well. I thought that dish looked fantastic, and I thought her working on the fly to make those modifications was impressive. I think she's got some staying power. And let's put it this way: there's no one coming out of the main draw that I don't think Sarah could beat in a LCK right now. I don't worry. If I'm her, I don't necessarily worry about Joe. I don't know that I worry about Luke. Certainly not. I don't know that I'd even worry about Jay or Nick. Like Sarah's got something going there, and it's a place where chefs do pick up confidence. You know, you get out of the bright lights. It's a smaller. You're not on center court. You're over on court 14, and you just play your game. And she's a pretty smart, quick on her feet chef. So in that respect, I thought it was impressive. Closing thoughts, Tom, as we head into Restaurant Wars, always our favorite episode of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We've had kind of an alternate Restaurant Wars due to the pandemic the last couple seasons, and I'm very excited for this one getting back to its roots. I think Jackson, even though I'm excited about the captain of my team, Buddha, I got to say, Jackson, I think he might have it. The story that he told going to the judges' table really stood out to me when he said, I'd like to apologize, or I have a little announcement to make, is that the dinosaur ate one of the contestants, and that's why this is so bloody. He's just got this flair to him, a little bit of creativity, humility also, where I think he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he doesn't have his taste buds. But I'm going to say it now. I'm rooting for Buddha, but I think Jackson's going to win this whole thing.
I don't know, but I'm very excited that they're doing Chef's Counter. I like the idea that there's no wondering what's going back. I love the idea that in addition to all the other stress that comes with Restaurant Wars, the expedition, the making sure everything's going right, that they also now have to be in a panopticon. They basically are going to be watched by the very judges who are judging them on. They don't have to wonder what's going on back there anymore. They're going to know. And I think that is a fantastic. Bravo for the Top Chef team for coming up with that one. I just think it's a great stake raiser. And also, I mean, again, not to harp too much, but one of the things I do love about Restaurant Wars is I don't care how nice and cuddly it gets on Top Chef. That is the one week in the season where things become unfiltered, where it's just there's too much pressure not to react, where you aren't going to see some, whether it's friction or just a little more edginess, I think, in the show. So I'm very excited about that.
It's LeBron James looking at J.R. Smith in the finals and going, what the hell? How did you forget clock and score? Like, you're going to see that in Restaurant Wars. I am so excited.
I'm thrilled about that and excited as we go on. And also, when you get on the other side of Restaurant Wars, that's why I say the moment in the show where you get sent home for cooking good food. That's always, to me, the moment of Top Chef where, the stakes really ramp up. Tom, looking forward to it. I will be most likely broadcasting from Minneapolis next Thursday, or Memphis. I don't know which one, but maybe one of those two. But you will still have me. For Tom Haberstroh, this is Kevin Arnovitz, and this is Pack Your Knives.